Thank you very much, British Columbia. Who's ready for a home you can afford? Who's ready for a powerful paycheck that buys good food? Who's ready to feel safe on your streets again? Who's ready to make Canada the freest country on earth? And who's ready to make common sense common in Canada? Wow. And speaking of common sense, my common sense wife produced some incredible artwork. I'm going to share with you. I'm just going to, Tim, just hold this for a second. Look at that. My wife produced, she said we needed to have the merch. You got to have the merch if you want to get the message out, right? So you can go to bringithome.ca and order this incredible t-shirt and many others. Support our hunters. Look at that. Support the hunters. Axe the tax. Who's ready to axe the tax? United for freedom. Wow. Brilliant wife I have, isn't she? I know you all think you're seeing her. She's with the kids right now, Valentina and Cruz, who are, of course, running the roost in our home. Their two baby bosses are in charge there. But I know that they wish they could be here to celebrate our common sense agenda. And boy, do we ever need to restore common sense in this country, don't we? Look around you. You ever seen the country in such bad shape? No. I saw the tent city on the way here. Whoa. What a tragedy. Which one? You know, we didn't have these tent cities across Canada 8 years ago. There was one place, the downtown east side, and Justin Trudeau went there, and he said, we got to take this idea and make it national. He doubled housing costs after promising he would lower them. He doubled the rent, doubled mortgage payments, doubled the needed down payment for a new home. He brought us the worst food price inflation in 40 years. He unleashed a crime spree with his catch and release policies in Bill C-75. He attacked our freedom in order to distract from all that he broke. But he couldn't have done it without the NDP betraying British Columbians. They entered into a crazy and costly coalition to turn the country upside down. But here's the good news. Canada was not like this before Trudeau and the NDP, and it won't be like this after they're gone. The hope that Canadians need. And we're going to do it with a real common sense plan for Canadians. Let's start with the issue of inflation, or as we all now know it, Justin-inflation, right? Inflation caused by Justin Trudeau. Now, how do we tackle inflation? We have to start by remembering how it happened in the first place. And it's very simple how it happened, the same way it always happens. Throughout history, there really is only one cause of inflation. It's when kings, queens, emperors, presidents, prime ministers create cash to fund their irresponsible spending, and they bid up the goods we buy and the interest that we pay in the process. So, let me ask you a question. How much is the government of Canada borrowing this year? Don't feel badly. Justin Trudeau didn't know either. I literally asked him 6 times in question period. He didn't know. He's the guy borrowing the money. He didn't know how much he was borrowing. Any wonder we're almost broke? Right? Well, the answer is $421 billion in borrowing this year alone. That's the pre-existing debt that's coming up for renewal, for which the government has to pay out the previous bondholders and borrow new money to do it because we don't pay back debt right now. We borrow to pay the existing borrowers, the existing lenders. And then on top of that, there's a $40 billion deficit that's brand new debt he's piling on, all of which adds up to $421 billion, equal to 2 months GDP for our entire country. One level of government is borrowing that. What happens when you borrow? You create money supply and cash. That money goes into the economy to bid up the cost of everything we buy. He's increased the money supply by $600 billion in 3 years. That's a 32% increase in a time during which the economy grew by 4%. In other words, the money grew 8 times faster than the stuff that money buys. You got 10 loaves of bread and $10, it's a buck a loaf. You double the $100 to 20, you still have 10 loaves of bread. It's now $2 a loaf. You don't get richer just because you have more money to buy the stuff you already had, right? That's the cause of inflation. We know this throughout history. Think of King Henry VIII, right? We all know him because he liked to cut off the heads of his subjects. He actually liked to cut off the edges of the coins, the British pound. 1 pound of silver. But he kept running out of pounds because he was spending so much money. So what did he do? He had his minters chop off the edges or file off the edges of the silver pound so that he could melt that silver down and create more pounds. Later on, Sir Isaac Newton would take over the British Mint and he would bring in those little rigid edges on the outside of our coins. You ever notice those on a quarter? That's so that people don't shave off the edge of the coin, clip off the edge of the coin in order to make more coins. In fact, Sir Isaac Newton had the British Parliament criminalize the clipping of coins. And if you go into our criminal code today, we inherited the parts of the British Penal Code that ban anyone from clipping coins. It's literally a criminal offense if you cut off the edge of your quarter. But isn't that what Justin Trudeau does? When he cuts off little pieces of the value of our coins, when he creates so much cash that 25 cents is now worth 20 cents of last year's money. That's exactly what he has done. And this year, I have a quiz for you. I already gave you the answer. I want to see who is listening. There's going to be a prize. Tim, give me one of these shirts. How much is Justin Trudeau going to borrow this year? 421. This guy is the winner. There you go. Show him what you got. Show him what you got. Stand up. Show him the shirt. Look at that. Spin it around. Spin it around. Protect our hunters. See, I told you not to listen carefully. You don't want to miss anything. You guys all know. Oh no! Wow, that was impressive. He's not shy, this guy over here, eh? Nice shirt though. Wow. BringItHome.ca is where you can get your very own of those. So, here's our common sense plan to counter Justin Trudeau's inflation. 1, we're going to stop the need for printing money by capping spending with a new dollar-for-dollar law. It will require that my government finds $1 savings for every new dollar of spending. Just like you run your household finances. In this law in the 1990s that allowed them to balance the budget, pay off $400 billion of debt, had massive economic growth and job creation. As soon as the law lapsed, they went right back into deficit, which proves once again that politicians need legal limits on their spending because they will not be able to control themselves. You have been pinching your pennies long enough. It's time government was pinching its pennies too. We're going to get rid of the $54 million Arrive Can app. So here's this app. We didn't need it. It didn't work. It could have been built for $300 grand. Trudeau spent $54 million on it. As a lark, a couple of IT workers bought themselves a few boxes of pizza and cases of beer and decided that they would rebuild that app in 1 weekend. It didn't cost them $54 million, but it proved that it was all a scam. I'm going to ask them for a copy of that app. I'm going to send it to Justin Trudeau, and we're going to call it the Resign Can app. RCMP investigation because it turned out it was all a scam. I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to cooperate with the police. Listen, we all know that Justin Trudeau is a man of conviction. He has 2 convictions. He was found guilty twice. Justin, this might be the 3rd time. Answer the police questions. Tell the truth. Tell us why you scammed us out of $54 million. Because when I get in there, I'm going to axe that around Canada and save some money. We're going to save more money by getting rid of the $35 billion infrastructure bank that in 6 years has not completed a single project and has as its mandate to provide loan guarantees to multinational corporations so that if they go over budget, you pay the price. In a free market, risk and reward go together. If companies do the project on time, great, they should make a profit. But if they go over budget or over schedule, they should pay the price. No more corporate welfare. We're getting rid of the infrastructure. We can even save $1 billion by defunding the CBC.
Yeah!
Scour every dollar we send out in foreign aid. You're going to cut every penny that now goes to terrorists, to dictators, and bring the money home. Bring it 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 home. Got some music going. I think they're trying to get me off the stage already now. What's that? Vimy Ridge, absolutely. He's talking about our passport. Justin Trudeau took Terry Fox and Vimy Ridge out of our passport. Trying to erase our proud history, but he replaced it. Don't worry, he replaced it with a picture of himself as a boy swimming in the lake. Liberal cabinet members even included pictures of snowflakes inside. Thank you for the reminder. But you know what else we're going to do to bring down prices? We're going to axe the tax. 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 Remember they told us it would be a revenue-neutral tax. Remember that? Hilarious. Trudeau is like that uncle that writes you an email from the other side of the world saying that he wants to give you a big inheritance and he just needs the passcode to your bank account, right? Oh, you just pay more for gas and heat and groceries. Don't worry, there'll be a check in the mail. It's coming soon. Well, we know now that was a scam. In BC, you don't even get these rebate checks, but the NDP and Liberals are conspiring to impose this massive tax increase. They want to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a liter. It's a tax on the farmers who produce the food and the truckers who ship the food, which means it's a tax on all who buy the food. I have the Little Miracles of Manotick in my riding. They are a tomato farm, and Justin Trudeau's carbon tax applies on the CO2 that they release into the greenhouse, even though it's absorbed by the plant life. He must have missed that day in science class. So now the price signal is that it's more expensive to buy a Manotick tomato in Manotick than a Mexican tomato in Manotick. The government is encouraging us to buy the tomato that was transported by truck and train burning fossil fuels all across North America, which is bad for our environment. It ships our money out and drives the emissions up. It makes us more dependent on foreign producers and punishes our proud farmers at home, the same as he's doing with all these fertilizer mandates and these other attacks on our farming community. My friends, when we axe the tax, we will be lowering your gas bill, your diesel bill, your heating bill, and of course your food bill. affordable food, and also we're going to bring home powerful paychecks to buy it with. In Canada today, you're punished for working. You all heard of, I've never seen this wonderful little graphic that went up the other day. A father explaining to his heartbroken son what a tax form is. The little boy asks Dad, his dad says, it's like your report card, only the reverse. With your tax form, the better you do, the more you get punished. Right? They call it the marginal effective tax rate. It's the amount of the next dollar you earn that is lost to clawbacks and taxes. Marginal effective tax rate. Meter. You've heard of the parking meter, you pay to park. A work meter, you pay to work. No good deed goes unpunished. And in Canada today, a single mom earning $50,000 to $1,000 a year, who earns another dollar, loses 80 cents of that dollar to clawbacks of her child benefit, income tax, payroll tax, and gas tax to get to and from work. This punishment on work is one of the reasons why we have people who don't want to work as much. They don't want to take an extra shift because they know they'll be working for the government. You make it and Trudeau takes it. A Poilievre government will reform the clawbacks and cut income taxes so you bring home more of each dollar you earn, and hard work once again pays off. So, 43. You'd be lucky if it's 43. You don't include the clawbacks of your benefits. And then after you order the dollar, then you go and spend it and you get hit with the sales tax. But to get to the store, they have to pay the carbon tax. These days, people are working for the government, not the other way around. I want a country where the government works for the people, right? Working for powerful foreign interests. Did you hear the news today that the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled Justin Trudeau and the NDP trampled on our Constitution with their C-69 attack on our resource sector, an unconstitutional and backwards law that only helps foreign dictatorships control the energy market. I will repeal C-69 and bring money home. Here in BC, we could be exporting more natural gas. We have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in Canada. Clean gas. We can liquefy it cleaner than anyone else. Why? One, we have hydroelectricity to power the plants. And two, how do you liquefy gas? You cool it down. And Canada is cold. Oh, stop your complaining. You don't know anything about cold in Vancouver. You have no idea how cold it gets in Ottawa. In fact, Tim told me that it was so cold in Ottawa last winter, Justin Trudeau was seen with his hands in his own pockets. So, totally aside, I spoke to an engineer about this. It actually costs 25% less to liquefy gas here than it does in the U.S. Gulf Coast, because there's fewer degrees of temperature to pull out of it. We have shorter shipping distances from Canada to Asia and Canada to Europe than they do in the States. Well, you know what we learned this week? That after Justin Trudeau blocked 18 natural gas liquefaction projects, the Qataris stepped up to fill in the void. They're selling 3.5 million tons of liquefied natural gas per year to France. France would have loved to buy that gas from Canada, but Trudeau said no. And now the money goes to Qatar. And what does Qatar do with its money? They sponsor Hamas. So Justin Trudeau wants the natural gas revenues to go to Hamas terrorists. I want it to go to welders and pipe fitters and resource workers. When we streamline the process, we will be able to build over a dozen natural gas liquefaction projects We will clear the way to mine the minerals of the future: lithium, cobalt, graphite, copper, countless other minerals that stay under the ground today, they come to the fore and power paychecks for our brilliant trades workers. And by the way, another way we're going to bring powerful paychecks is we're going to make sure to support our trades again, right? We don't need more suits, we need more boots, right? We're going to give the tax fairness for Traveling Trades Workers Act, because right now it is possible for a CEO to write off the cost of his private jet, but a pipe fitter from Timmins can't write off the cost of his plane ticket to go and work in Fort Mac. We're going to pass the common sense law that allows our trades workers to write off all the cost of their travel, accommodation, and food so they can go to work and build our country. You know what else we're going to build? Homes. Homes. Here we are in Vancouver. It is the third most expensive housing market in the world when you compare median income to median house prices. Now, why is that? Well, can anybody really attest to it? Here we go, another example. This is a common sense shirt. All right, hope you're at the edge of your seats. All right. What do you think is the #1 cost in building a new home in Vancouver? Not interest. Government permits, here it is, the big winner. There it is. It's not land, labor, or lumber. It's the cost of getting government sign-off to build the house in the first place. This is the permit, the zoning, the changing rules, the consultants, the lawyers, the taxes, the charges. It never ends. Our friend Takelman popped in before this was in the development business. He could tell you about all the bureaucracy that we have to go through. That adds $1.3 million to each newly built home in Vancouver, according to a study by City Hub Institute. Other cities have block building too. Winnipeg spent a fortune on a transit system to go to a place where they were going to have homes. But then the local councillor decided that his residents didn't want to have neighbors. So he blocked 2,000 homes next to the transit built to supply those homes. And in Montreal, the mayor blocked 24,000 homes with her bureaucracy. And what does Justin Trudeau do about it? He sends big fat checks from the federal government to subsidize these local gatekeepers who get in the way of building homes. That's why we have the fewest houses per capita of any country in the G7, even though we have by far the most land to build on. This is how crazy it is. Housing in Canada is between 50 and 100% more expensive than south of the border in the United States, even though they have 8 times the people to house on a smaller landmass. Vancouver is considered the third, Toronto the 10th most expensive housing market. UBS, a global bank, says Toronto is the worst housing bubble in the world. And now, as a result of having to borrow to buy these houses, Canada's families have more household debt than any other country in the G7. It's so crazy that it is now cheaper to buy a 20-room castle in Scotland than it is to buy a 2-bedroom condo in Kitchener, Ontario. That's how crazy it is. This is life after 8 years of Justin Trudeau and the NDP blocking construction. Here's my common sense plan. Here's my common sense plan. Here it is. I'm passing a law called the Building Homes, Not Bureaucracy Act. Here's how it works. It requires that cities boost home construction by 15% per year, or they will lose federal grants. If they meet the 15% target, they will get a building bonus, and it will be mathematical. So if they meet the target by 10%, they get 10% more money. Miss the target by 10%, they get 10% less money. Furthermore, we will require that every time the feds fund a transit station, it be surrounded by high-density apartments so that people can live right next to the bus and train. And when I was at university, I moved in with my dad because he lived next to Heritage Station in Calgary. And that meant that I could procrastinate and start writing my paper at midnight the night before, write it all night, run out the door at the last minute, jump on the C train all the way to school and hand in my paper. But now there are countless stations with no housing around them. So the money for federal transit subsidies will go into a trust fund, and it will not be paid out for a new transit station until every square inch around the station is built on with brand new affordable housing for people who live next to the bus or train. We're going to sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build. You know something, Kenny Chu, it warms my heart to think of the beautiful family rolling up in a U-Haul to move into their wonderful new home in the former headquarters of the CBC. And these homes will be safe neighborhoods. Safety is now a thing of the past. After 8 years of Trudeau's catch and release policies, crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder rule our streets. We see it here. We see it in Kelowna, which now has the highest crime rate of any city in Canada. They have 10,000 crimes a year for every 100,000 people in Kelowna. That's one crime for every 10 people in Kelowna. We spent millions of dollars on this rail trail, a beautiful trail to go biking and jogging. And now it's a massive multi-kilometer tent city, right in the middle of beautiful Kelowna. That is insane. But this is the natural consequence of Justin Trudeau and the NDP, who unleashed this crime and chaos. Do you know in Vancouver, the same 40 offenders were arrested 6,000 times. In a year! In a year. Why? Because they're released the same day on bail. Trudeau and the NDP brought in a system of automatic bail that allows an offender to get released within an hour or two of being arrested, at which point they re-offend. Sometimes the police tell me they have to arrest the same criminal 3 times in a day. They have something called FIDO. Forget it. Drive on. They see a crime, they don't even bother arresting them anymore because they know that they will be released in no time. Well, Poilievre-led government will bring in a common sense bail reform that makes sure that you are ineligible for bail or parole if you have a long rap sheet. It will be jail and not bail. Jail, not bail. All right, everybody. It's quiz time. There are 40 offenders. How many times were they arrested? This guy over here. There you go, buddy. Oh, he almost got it. That's an Axe the Tax t-shirt. You don't have to take your shirt off, man. It's okay. Come on, you get home. Right on. Show them what it looks like, though. Come on. Look at this beautiful shirt. You can get it. Bringithome.ca. Turn it around there. Axe the Tax. And then there's the drugs. So as I said, we saw the chaos unleashed in the downtown east side when the city told police they couldn't enforce the law, that they should just let people get stoned on the street and live there forever. And so Trudeau and the NDP said, wow, this has unleashed misery in the downtown east side, why not take that nationwide? And they did. They brought in this program of giving out free drugs. Now let's consider how backwards this is. How did the opioid crisis begin? Big Pharma. Big Pharma gave out lots of Oxycontin and lied about its addictiveness and lethality. It was safe, right? Safe pharmaceutical grade drugs. Got people hooked. Then they graduated up to fentanyl, and 30,000 deaths later, here we are. And what is the solution, they say? Give out more pharmaceutical grade safe drugs. Well, now we're hearing from intrepid investigative reporters that it's not safe at all. Those drugs are resold to kids. And then the profits are used to buy more dangerous fentanyl. And a whole system of crime grows out of it. Of course, the same corrupt big pharma companies that profited off misery in the first place are profiting more as government shoves more money into their coffers. This is my common sense plan, my friend. We will recriminalize hard drugs in this country. We will stop giving out tax-funded opioids, and instead we will invest in treatment and recovery to bring them where a father who lost his son to an overdose raised the money to bring in young men who were addicted, give them counseling, care, exercise, yoga, sweat lodges for First Nations, and now they're building beautiful apartments right next door so the graduates can live next to the treatment center, go back for help when they need it, maybe get in a quick workout, and mentor the incoming addicts to help them off. That's the kind of hopeful future that we have to dream of. And I told you that we would have a dollar-for-dollar principle, right? How are we going to pay for it? I will sue the big corrupt pharma companies and collect billions of dollars. Big Pharma's latest racket. They managed to convince Trudeau's health department, with the help of the NDP, to put in a law that effectively prevents the production of natural health products in our country. They want to shut down natural health products. Why? Because they want to control everything. They want you all to use their profit-making drugs. Of course they do. That's why they're against natural medicines. What problem were they trying to solve by effectively banning herbal teas? They're going to keep... They want to... What's that? Yes, that's right. Exactly. Natural health care is a right for people to pursue. I will repeal this law and let you take charge of your own health. I think you'll agree with this. I think you'll agree with this. I believe that we need to restore the strength of our healthcare system in this country. It is outrageous that they're closing down emergency room clinics across British Columbia because we don't have enough doctors and nurses, while the NDP shuts out perfectly good nurses due to ridiculous vaccine mandates. Just people's vaccination status. We have 20,000 brilliant immigrant doctors and 32,000 brilliant immigrant nurses banned from working in our system because they have no way of proving their qualifications. 85% of Filipino nurses in Canada cannot work. Yes, give a cheer for the Filipino nurses. Take an internationally rigorous nursing exam and get to work in a hospital within a few weeks. Here in Canada, they're forced to take low-wage jobs, shut out from the profession for which they trained their whole life. There's an easy, common-sense solution to this. We have a red seal for the trades. We've had it for 70 years. You pass the electrician's red seal exam, you get a stamp, you can work anywhere in Canada. I will bring in a blue seal for the profession so that immigrant and foreign-trained Canadians can take a test, prove they're qualified, get to work, help our healthcare system, and earn Yes, it's about freedom. It's about the freedom to keep your own money and make your own decisions. Freedom to control your own body and chart your own path. that our nationality was any ethnicity or religion, because even back then, 100 years ago, we were all mixed up. We had Scots and Irish and French and English. We had Indigenous people. We had no ethnic nationality. We never had. He said, Canada is free and freedom is its nationality, right? So we're going to restore that freedom. A Poilievre-led government will repeal C11 censorship law. There will be no mandatory digital ID, no digital currency. I will ban all my ministers from any involvement in the World Economic Forum. We will shut down Beijing's foreign-controlled police stations. And we will bring home to parents the decisions about what is taught to children. Because we have millions of child care and child raising experts, real experts, and you know what their names are? Mom and Dad. We're often told that there are these brainy people who have a higher standard of virtue than the unwashed masses. That they have to decide for all of you and all of us, because they just know that. All of us, well, we should just do what we're told. They should decide what we think and say what happens with our money. Because Justin Trudeau really has only two core principles. That is, these are those principles. One, that the state should control everybody, and two, that he should control the state. Who are these angels? Who are these angels from above that he has hired to run our lives? Right? They are basically people who want to control the decisions that should rest in the hand of everyday people. But how can we be sure that the people are wise and virtuous enough to decide for themselves? Aren't they just ordinary people? Ladies and gentlemen, I have held about 120 rallies in the last year and a half since I launched my leadership campaign, and I have a policy that at each and every one I stay until every person who wants to meet me has shaken my hand. I have met these ordinary people, and I can tell you they are extraordinary. The waitress who balances 12 plates on a tray, serves 12 tough customers at once, works a double shift, and comes home with enough energy to teach her kids math, and balances her budget on a minimum wage salary. She's not ordinary, she is extraordinary. The farmer, the masters of sciences of sky and soil to bring food from his field to your fork is not ordinary, he is extraordinary. The electrician who captures lightning from the sky, runs it through a copper wire to illuminate this room and light up the world is not ordinary, he is extraordinary. These extraordinary people have the wisdom and the virtue to be masters and not servants in their own country. That is my purpose, to put them back in charge of their lives, to live in a country where once again the government is a servant and not the master, where the people chart their own course, author their own story in the freest country in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the common sense of the common people, united for our common home.